Hi, welcome to Smith and Gresy. It's February, it's nearly area time, so we thought we'd have a little discussion about all things area championships plus a few little other ditties. So we thought, Sandy, that we'd go through these pieces and where better to start with the fourth section piece, Indian Summer, which I've got to say I really enjoy.
Yeah, we're going to look at them all, starting with that one, and not give a detailed description. It's read the score, and
Yeah,
basically that's it. But a few tips and pointers, maybe as to the sort of things that might be being looked out for by, good judges.
yeah,
Um, but Indian Summer, yeah, we talked about it before, I think, briefly as to why it was picked. Um, it is a piece that has encouraged bands to enter, because you can do it with a less than full complement. That was the reason it was picked. And we've had some new pieces recently. So this was an old pot boiler that still does the job. And the more you look into the score again to reacquaint yourself,
mm,
you can see how clever Eric Ball was.
you
So
can.
in the first section of the piece, I've just written down a few little notes on post-it notes on the score,
Yeah,
looking through. I think one of the things that bands might come a cropper with uh, in this whole piece is about balance and the dynamics. So 40 isn't obviously not the loudest dynamic in this piece either.
it goes
And
up
I
to
think
treble 40, doesn't it, in
it
places?
does, yeah, it does. And I think, for a band at that level to get those differences will mean tempering the 40 a bit. So
Right,
where they're usually, just sort of letting rip a bit, that's not going to work. And Eric Ball's scoring is immaculate as usual.
yeah,
I think the opening just needs good balance, full sound, not overblown. I've written down
no,
on these little post-it notes. Um, I think that'll be a biggie. If you get players sticking out, you're in trouble.
yeah,
Um, and it's got to be rhythmic and majestic, and it's only 40. It opens up after, and the people that are doing this piece will know when I say letter A, the bar before it crescendos, then you have the fortissimo. So
right,
we've got a repeated section before that, which starts the piece. Then it lifts to fortissimo, and then that's your chance. Then, cleverly, 1, 2, 3, 4 bars before B, Eric Ball drops it back to 40.
yeah.
And those will be pieces, those will be places where I think people,
You've got to
good
show the
judges, will be
difference.
looking out for. Yeah,
Yeah,
and they'll be looking out for that.
yeah,
Um, when we get to letter B, um, there's a slight change of style. And I think in that place, intonation in the horns is going to be important. It's the horns and back row in unison. And the back row are quite low down. The bottom of the stave, bottom
plenty
C's,
of
D's,
trigger
E's.
work then.
Yeah, yeah. So those are the sort of things, and just keeping that intonation in check is that sort of thing. And the dynamic drops back again to
Yeah,
MF. Um, One thing that's probably going to occur all the way through some of these pieces is just because you've got a good bit doesn't mean you have to blow loud, you
no,
know. Um, and I know the temptation. Just before letter C, it jumps to 40 straight away. There's no crescendo; it just jumps to 40. So
yeah,
little places like that, and that's where I would expect judges to be looking out for.
yeah,
Um, letter C, we've got fortissimo, and then it drops again to 40 after
yeah.
4 bars. Those things all the way through this movement are going to be quite
Important.
pertinent.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
letter D is the bit where it goes. There's dee-rom, ba-rom, be-rom. There's that figure
Yeah,
in it going up through the band. That's a dangerous place for dropping tempo, I would suspect.
yeah,
That because there's not a lot. There is some rhythm going on, and the percussion and the euphoniums, and I think that needs to maybe be in people's ears so
yeah,
that they, dun da da dun da da dun da da dun da da dee ba, that sort of thing going,
yeah,
so we don't drop tempo. I think it could easily sag there.
yeah,
And then at the end of the first movement, just to balance, there's a trombone sort of trio that comes in with the euphonium back in it at the bottom as well. That
yeah,
just it needs to be well balanced. Um, the second section of the piece is by the cool waters. So this is I'm not going to go into all the the whys and wherefores or the story background, but it's typical Eric Ball where you've got melody, you've got balanced accompaniment. I think it has to have good ensemble, and it has to have, it says andante con moto, it has to have a sense of everybody being on board rhythmically with it.
Yeah.
And the solo lines have got to sing sweetly all the way through that. And also, having listened to various recordings of this and listened to a couple of bands playing it, ends of phrases are going to be really important.
Yeah.
So all you need to spoil it is one or two players either hanging on or not hanging on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or breathing or not breathing, whatever the MD decides is the style that he or she is going to go for. I think that's dead important. I think the successful bands will probably take care of those phrase ends as well.
Yeah.
And it's something that is quite difficult at that level as well. People are all aware of starting together, but not the end of a 4-bar phrase. And if everybody's breathing, everybody has different ideas as to what the gap is, that sort of thing. I think that's going to be quite important round about E, F. When we get to letter G, it's Mark Poco Pio Mosso. You'll have to put up with me my terrible singing. That section. I think you just got to watch there that it sounds rhythmic without hurrying. So not it can't rush forward at all.
Great attention.
There's
a lot of accentuations and staccatos around that place. Great attention to that detail will help keep that steady.
Yeah, it will. And it comes in and the basses have a bash at that bit, that melody, letter H. Again, it has to be rhythmic and bouncy and light. So yeah, it's typical Eric Ball. You play with style, you play with feeling, you play with a bit of grace in the solo lines. Letter J, again, I've written end of phrases, balance, security. So you've got trombone chords there. They're going to have to be careful how they breathe.
It's quite exposed, isn't it?
It is exposed, yeah. I mean, but that's one of the testing things about it. You know, he was nobody's fool, Eric Ball. And to be successful, you're going to have to follow that. The third section, Totem Dance, is again very rhythmic. And again, it's going to be control, dynamic. All the basic things speak for themselves, but in this section, the control, not too fast, and especially spread this. Again, you're gonna have to put up with my terrible singing. That all that stuff. Spreading the semis so that you don't rush too fast forward. You know. And then we've got letter L, and that's a repeated section. First time is marked 40. Second time is marked piano. It's a God's gift to, we can play dynamics or we can't play dynamics. And I would imagine that any judge worth their salt is going to be honing in on that section. Can you not only play 40, can you sustain it for that repeat? And then can you play piano and sustain that?
Immediately after.
For that repeat, and with the same degree of attention to balance and intonation. Those are going to be important bits, But again, most of it should take care of itself in the performances that are going to be successful. After letter N, you've got this little fanfare figure that's in the corner. It's one ta-ka-deen, ta-teen, ta-ti-ta-ti. You've got to make sure that that's not triplety. It's not ta-ka-deen, ta-teen, ta-ka-ti-ti, ta-ti-ti, ta-ti-ta-ti. So you're going to have the dotted quaver, semi-quaver figure is going to have to be really well controlled. And tight. Then just before letter O, we've got 4 bars, 40 crescendo for 2 bars, fortissimo crescendo for 2 bars, back to 40. Those are the little things, the little places where I would think the bands that do that really well will catch the judge's ear. That's it for a bit. With a bit of a recap in that movement, the same sort of music coming back with the same sort of problems. And then the last part
I
of
think this
this,
is gorgeous.
well,
I
just
love
before
this.
then, the last part of this movement,
All right.
it does say a letter R, accel and agitato. That's got to be in control. And
Yeah.
so you got to have all the players moving through. There's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bars in a climax chord. They're moving through, excelling, agitato. Everybody has to be together rhythmically on that and on board for it to work. Then you've got this, it's marked fortissimo, the last bom, beam, bom, that one.
Yeah.
It's got to be control and quality sound. You cannot just rift your backside off and expect that that's going to be impressive. It's got to be control. The last one, I know this is the one that you really like, the Hymn to
I
the
really
Great
do
Spirit.
like this.
When you look at it, there's only 4 pages of score.
It's not that long.
No, it's not. But again, this starts 40. I've written down uniformity of articulation and emphasis. Yeah, so the emphasis on where these notes are, they dee da 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 rom ba there, 3, 4 times. I'm singing the first 2 bars, obviously too quickly. But it's got to be quality sound right through, and the ends of the phrases as well.
Again, through this movement, well, throughout the whole piece, to be honest, Eric Ball's meticulous with his articulation markings.
Yeah, it's not rocket science,
No.
you know, and I know it's easy to say that and a bit glib, but it's true. You just play. Can you play together? Can you play with dynamics? Can you play with a good style? Can you play collectively and individually with good sounds? That's what it's about.
Yeah.
You know, there's nothing untoward in this piece that, you know, should cause any 4-section bands any problems. But there's a load of instances where you could make really good music. At the very, very end of the piece, again, it lifts to triple 40, fortissimo. You got to keep the control and the sound quality from V
keep it
to
round,
W. Yeah,
big.
and then you've got the last, 6 bars.
Yeah.
From W to the end. Don't just blast it. No. Don't just think, yeah, we've had 2 months on this piece, and this is us. We're at the end, and I'm gonna give it. You know what I mean? You hear it loads.
You
of
can
times,
throw it
don't
away.
you?
Throw it all away. Doing
Absolutely can, and that will cost a contest. If anybody riffs, especially because the last 3 bars, you've got 3 crotchets and then a long note. If people are just, it's in unison. If people are riffing that, the intonation will grate like hell.
Yeah,
and
it will.
Well, if I was judging it, I'd that could cost you. I think you cannot just think you get to the end and you're just going to blast. How many times do you hear it? Odd instrumentalists. Anywhere in the band, tend to just sort of rip into it and stick out. It's control. Control will win it.
So moving on, Sandy, we've got the much talked about 3 Haworth impressions.
Yeah.
Now, before we get into some of the politics of it all, I've got to say I was born and brought up not too far from Haworth, and this is one heck of a very descriptive piece.
It
is. It just depicts the subject matter perfectly for me. Do you want to tell the listeners a bit about, because obviously there's a big controversy being kicking about the mistakes in the parts.
Well, there has. Okay. So I will take full responsibility for putting this forward because I thought it's a great piece. Now, the problem we had, and we may have talked about this before, is that the published parts from Chandos have, they don't have a full score, they have a condensed concert pitch score. So 3 trombones on a bass clef part, 3 horns on a sometimes treble, sometimes bass clef, all that sort of thing. You know, the bass parts, tuba parts on one line and all that sort of stuff. Which was a nightmare. Although, having said that, we have to always remember that this piece has been played for well, I don't know, when was it written? Back end of the 70s, back
Oh,
end,
yeah.
something like that.
It
Dyke recorded
Dyke
it, right?
played it before either me or you got there.
Yeah, yeah, they did. And we used to play it in
Yep,
concerts. We played this
we
off the
did.
manuscript parts. Nobody batted an eyelid, right? And I'm sure that the score that whoever was wagging at the time, Roy Newsom,
I think it was
uh,
Major. Major did it.
Michael Antrobus, David
Yeah.
Lau. I'm thinking of people who might have conducted it when I
All
was,
right.
you
Yeah.
know, David Louts, Trevor Walmsley, Derek Broadbent, Peter Parks, somebody. Nobody batted an eyelid. They just got on with it. The band played it, and it was fine.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, it gets picked for an area piece, and it's full of wrong notes. So anyway, to go back to the story, I put it forward, and everybody thought it was a great piece and should be played. I said I would contact Chandos and find out um, what the crack was with getting a new set of parts and a new score done. And it's
Yeah.
far easier these days, right?
Yeah.
You put it onto the alias, it generates its own parts. You just have to tidy them up. You can sort out all the discrepancies.
Yeah.
I contacted Chandos, and at the time this was done, um, I I got wind that someone had produced a full brass band score for this.
Yeah.
Put a lot of work in, and as far as I could gather, looking at it, it was as near as damn it correct. They'd fixed things that were very obvious. You know, the usual sort
Yeah.
of stuff you get about, oh, I play second baritone and I've got a dot under that note, and everybody else has got a line, and what should I do?
Yeah.
You know, you
All that
use
were
your,
fixed, weren't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
all of those sort of things used to be fixed without the social theatre of, you know, pointing the bloody obvious out. But having said that, there was things that needed tidying up. This score, I got to know the guy that had done it, and yeah, he had tidied a few things up. Um, and I suggested to Shandos that if he wanted, um, you know, this guy had done a score, and he was willing to sort of get it across to them. And first of all, they said, "Well, why has he produced a score? That's copyright infringement and all this." So they got the wrong end of the stick. Um, and I said, "Well, look, he's done it, you know, and he's done it as a help thing. He'd done this a couple of years ago, before this was even mentioned, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And he was only doing it to help conductors because, you know, it's a hard
A
enough
workable
job without
score.
working
Yeah.
on bass clef, trombone parts, and working out, you know, all that sort of
Yeah.
stuff, just to make it more usable." Shandos then insisted that they didn't want this score, that they would sort it out. And I said, "Well, look, I was the sort of middleman in this, saying, look, they can only pick it if these parts and score are sorted.
Correct. Yeah.
We'll do that. We can guarantee it will be sorted. It'll be 100% correct. We've got the expertise to do it." And they declined the offer of this guy getting, you know, a nominal fee for the work he'd done
Yeah.
to set them up, and then they could carry it on and check it
Yeah.
all. And that, it was, you know, and bearing in mind, if you're selling a set of music to 100 bands for 80 quid a throw,
Yeah.
you know, do the maths. And they said, "No, we'll do it ourselves." So I says, "Fine." And that was it. So I've got to say, I've got to be really brutally honest about this. Any annoyance or how can you put it? You know, people complaining about it. It is not it's not my fault, right?
Yeah.
This was offered to them. It's not Capital's fault in any way whatsoever, right?
No.
It's these are music publishers' problems,
Yeah.
right? Not people picking it. I've seen some ridiculously stupid things saying every piece that gets picked should be vetted by the panel and gone through with a fine tooth comb to discover if there's anything missing in the parts and
Yeah.
pianos. And, you know, it's not absolute nonsense. You know, nobody on
Yeah.
the panel does this for a single penny,
No.
right? We're not going to be looking at hundreds of pieces and going through every set of parts to discover whether there's anything wrong with them.
Yeah,
We had
because
this
that's the
problem.
point, Sandy. You don't just look at one piece, do you?
No,
You
of
might
course
have
we
10
don't.
pieces going through at the same time.
For
And
each section,
yeah,
yeah. But
exactly.
I mean, look at the problem that supposedly was had with Spectrum,
Yeah.
right? When that was picked 4 or 5 years ago, full of wrong notes, totally unplayable. Well, we've had this story before. We've
Well,
done this.
we've
You
done
know,
it on 2 CDs.
I recorded it, yeah, with Parksy, with Mr. Haworth, and with
Yeah,
Nick
yeah,
Childs. None of them, none of those three conductors complained about it. None of the players complained about it. We just
yeah,
recorded it.
yeah,
Then suddenly it gets to an area piece, and oh God, we can't play this because, I haven't got a slur on bars 3 and 4, and my
yeah,
mate on second baritone's got a slur. What are we supposed to do? It's garbage.
yeah,
So anyway, yes, if there is stuff wrong with it, it is purely down to Shandos.
yeah.
Nothing to do with the music panel and nothing to do with Capital either.
No,
It's got nothing to do with them. The music publishers need to sort it out,
yeah,
But anyway, that's that story. That was how that sort of came about. But the
yeah.
music itself, it's a
Beautiful.
fantastic little piece. Yeah, I mean the opening movement, Talk Withins.
Oh,
It's dark, dramatic music,
well,
right?
if you know where Top Withens Farm is, it is dark.
Just does it? I
Yeah,
mean, I've written that dark brooding,
yeah,
committed. The cornet duet will need to be balanced at the beginning, and the
yeah,
dynamics and style have got to be bang on. Again, we've got a trombone section there accompanying the breathing, and the phrase ends are going to have to be
spot on.
spot on. We then go into at figure 16 with a horn solo, really lyrical and secure. It's a bit
Yeah,
more. How the it's not as dark. It's not quite as dark. It's a lighter sort of
yeah. It sort of
shade.
rounds up. Yeah,
Yeah, it does. And all the way through that, it's the same thing all the time. Langford scoring is he's one of the most immaculate scorers
yeah,
that there is. You look at any section, and the writing is brilliant.
yeah,
There's a section just before figure 49 where the basses have a little figure on their own. That's going to have to be really carefully listened to for
yeah,
intonation.
yeah,
Um, all that sort of thing. Then it goes into this. We've got a 3/4 tune that's in the euphoniums and in the horns. That bit there, and the basses are boom, 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 plodding away.
yeah,
It's got to have that sort of plodding, heavy tread on it.
yeah,
And again, phrase endings,
yeah.
got 2-bar phrase at 49 that ends in a crotchet with a horn. Do they breathe? Do they not breathe? Euphoniums have got it as well. Do you disguise that? You're going to have to make your mind up,
Yeah,
um, all that sort of thing. And then it goes into really dark territory between
yeah,
sort of 65 and 77.
yeah.
And then there is a fortissimo there as well.
There is.
So again, keep your powder dry. Don't overdo it.
Yeah, at 77, it's as if the sunrise is coming over the valleys there.
Yeah,
It really wants to open up, but it's like you say, it's treble 40 coming from a fortissimo,
yeah,
and it needs grading.
it
Big
does. There's
star.
a bit there just before 87 as well. 4 bars. There's a 40 that diminuendos for 2 bars to piano, and then rises back up again.
Yeah,
Um, that would be a place I'd be looking for balance
yeah,
through the whole band.
yeah,
And then at 87, it's where the trombones have that tune in a bit more of a marcato style.
yeah.
And you have this sort of, it reminds me slightly of the connotations,
Does, yeah,
those sort of figures that are in groups of 4 semiquavers, but divided up between the
they're
horns
in
and the
groups of
cornets.
they're in groups of 4. If you put a fifth one on there, it'd be a lot easier. But
Yeah,
they're not. There isn't a fifth.
yeah.
So you
So
measuring them 4 is crucial.
yeah, there's those sort of things. Yeah, 103 is where we come back to that horn tune again in
Yeah,
a transposed version. It's changed key. That needs to be quite all the way through 103. There are little solo passages that are
yeah,
quite pleading, sort of
yeah,
heartfelt. It's passionate music,
It
as
is.
the sort of Bronte sisters. It's Heathcliff in the Moor and all that sort of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
It's got to be that. And then we've got a reprise of the opening at 112.
Yeah.
And again, it's just the balance and the security at the end of that movement.
Yeah.
But it's deeply dramatic music. And
It
then the
is.
contrast with that, the three bells,
This is
which is,
delightful.
yeah, and so they were pseudonyms, I think.
Yeah.
We'll not get into all that now, but at the minute, it's just light. It's such a light. I've
Yeah.
written down gay in the old sense. So you used to get that in music, didn't you?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
gaily, right? And it's that
Mm.
sort of music. It's
Yeah.
slightly twee, but it's so well written again. You've got to have a very lyrical cornet soloist there.
Yeah.
And then there's just before 32, there's a poco ret, just a small one over
Yeah.
2 bars. That's going to be really stylish as well. You're starting to look at this level like a bit more style and
Yeah.
a bit more collective
Oh.
awareness around
Yeah.
the stand
Yeah.
for everything. It just carries on. I've got 48, not force. It's marked 40, but it's a warm 40. It's not a
Mark
loud one.
Cantabile.
Yeah. So, and then there's a few step dynamics in there as well.
Yeah.
And then balance at 64 in the cornet part. So it's a sort of duet section.
Yeah.
Not for two players, but 2 parts. That has to be well balanced as well.
Yeah.
But it's just great music all the way through. Very light, very stylish. Another couple of little poco largandos towards 88, and it's not heavy in the
No.
accompaniment there as well.
No.
But it's just great music. I've just written light in 126 as well. And 148, control of that. There's a writ comes back again, just 2 bar writ, really all in control. We cannot afford to have anybody not paying attention in
Oh no.
those sort of bits. And
And
then
then
that from
through
section 100,
150, measuring that menemosso through to the tempo on the fifth bar is quite crucial there.
it is. And then for the next, I don't know, 16 bars or something, you've got a lot of dynamics coming up and down.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
Piano's up to 40, back to piano, up to 40, back to piano. Those have to be bang on as well.
Yeah.
And the ending just has to be very well balanced as well. And in
The basses are quite exposed at the ending, so that needs looking after.
Yeah, it does. And that again, that's one with, there's a little hairpin at the very last note. Typical Langford. You hit the last. You used to do them in all those folk song arrangements,
Yeah.
all through the night and all that. You would finish and then you would start quietly. You would come up and then you would come back down on that final pause. That will have to be really well balanced all the way through. Can't have anybody sticking out. And then that brings us to the third movement, the Worth Valley Railway. And there's
that railway journey is fun, and this music is fun.
Yeah. There's one crucial thing in this all the way through, and this is this, because it's in 9/8.
Yeah.
So you've got dotted quaver, semi-quaver, quaver, dun da dun, that rhythm.
Yeah.
Dun da dun dun.
Yeah.
Bum ba bum. Dun da dun dun.
Yeah.
I know that's slow, right? And even in some of the best recordings, you hear dun da ga dun, ding dun da. Dum da dum, dum ba dum bum bum. You got to get that compound time feel.
Absolutely.
That is the key to this movement,
And that figure runs through an axle, so it gets even more difficult. It needs
it does.
Real measuring out.
Yeah, it does. But the music takes care of itself. The writing is self-explanatory.
Yeah.
One thing I've written down is at 59, the basses. Not aggressive. It's marked 40. But that can easily, you know what I mean? That's one of those, because you guys are.
That's a real growler moment if you're not careful.
Yeah, I know, but you guys, let's be honest. You like rolling your sleeves up and showing off sometimes when it's not, and that's got to be kept in control. It's light music still all the way through. you know. It just needs clarity. The scoring takes care of itself. The guy is a brass band scoring genius.
Yes.
Um,
Sandy, one thing in this movement for me is tempo.
yeah,
If you listen to Major Park's version with Black Dyke all them years ago, he's up at 112. Dottie Crotchet 112.
yeah.
It's actually marked 96. Now, if you go any further than 112, you're in a mess.
Yeah.
You've got problems.
It makes the compound time thing more difficult to do,
It
but it
does.
also just doesn't sound right.
No. It's one of these where every piece has its tempo.
Yeah.
And this movement is one of them to get right. I don't want to put words in the judges' mouths, but they've got to find the right tempo to get that rhythm through. Ding, da dum, dong, ding. Yeah, crucial.
Then towards the very end of it, there's a bit of a row. We're talking about, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 bars before the end. That's got to be ensemble there. Will have to be absolutely committed. We can't have anybody struggling about in that if you want to be successful. And then at the very last couple of bars, you've got the opposite of that, where you crescendo and then come down. So the last 2 bars, the long note starts loud, comes down and comes back up again. It's not too late to be chopped off the prize list if you've got people sticking out or thinking, yeah, we've made it, and I'm gonna give everything I've got left in the tank.
Absolutely.
Doesn't work. But I think it's a great piece. The feedback I've been getting from people that are doing it is that they're really enjoying doing it.
Yeah.
You know, that it's pitched right and it's good music. And
it's a wonderful piece. Wonderful.
It's a great piece of music. And I think also composers that want to write for that sort of level of band, have a look at the way that Langford's done it.
Um, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea by Philip Harper.
It's a great piece. It's a great piece. It's film music. Let's face it. It's an imaginary film. And I know there have been old films of it and various sort of things done. It's film music, and it's very skillful film music as well. Very atmospheric. I'm not going to go into terrible amount of detail. The one thing that Phil has done with this is to get the colours, this sort of aquatic sound in music. You know, there's a lot of filigree stuff in it. There's a lot of other things. He uses mutes a lot in various instruments. Intonation.
You know, I had a listen to it when you announced it, and have you ever played Submerged Cathedral, Debussy?
Yeah.
There's a lot of that in it.
Yeah, there is.
Some similar sounds created.
Yeah,
it's
in fact, later on in this, I've stuck a little post-it note on saying Ravel ? Because of what he's written. It sounds like it's sort of Daphnis and Chloe's type, Debussy, La Mer, all that sort of thing. You know, those sort of things in the Submerged Cathedral. Intonation with mutes is going to be important. All the way through, I just think that, again, this is pitched. At letter B, there's a section there in the solo cornets, some fast triplets. Just watch that they don't sound a scramble. You know, the bands that I'm hoping, the bands that are successful will make that clear. Will have clarity in those sort of places. You know, but I'm not going to go through the style in this too much because it takes care of itself. Yeah, there you go. The Choral Kingdom, letter E. Colour, stroke, transparency, clarity, Ravel, I've written. That's all the cornet parts and all these muted things, little filigree figures coming in, percussion.
It's going to be down to the conductors to get the correct balance in all these parts.
It is the balance that's going to be crucial. And
what is important and what isn't, you've got to realise, haven't they?
We're taking for granted that now you're moving up more, that the actual basics of playing together, playing in a uniform, balanced way, in style, and with a good quality sound, they're starting to be more important and expected. But there's loads and loads of opportunity in this piece to make good music.
Yeah.
You know, letter H. There's loads of hairpins in this. Over a bar, up over a bar, hold it for a bar, down for a bar, same again, all the way through. Those are going to have to be very carefully done because
Yeah.
it'll get forgotten. Squid Attack, Jaws, I've written. It is, yeah, Phil won't mind me saying that. It's got to be clarity and controlled, especially in the lower end. So you've got all this, the Jaws type movement there.
Yeah.
Bum, 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 beer, all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's an invitation. I'm sorry, bass players, but you are guilty of this sometimes. You see that, and it's marked MP, right?
Yeah.
And it has these little interjections and accents and stuff. Sleeves get rolled up, and you want to show off, you know.
Yeah.
And don't keep it in control, right?
Yeah.
It's creating the squid's miles away yet, right? And just keeping it under control. It's far more impressive. But again, it's just really good descriptive music, and there's
Yeah.
plenty in it that you can make. Plenty of musical choices you can make to make this music come alive.
Yeah.
Then we're into Captain Nemo, which is a slower one. Ends of phrases again, balance, security. This movement needs shaping by the MD. It's not enough just to play the notes in the right place, and I think sometimes we fall into the trap of thinking, well, I played all the right notes in the right place and that's enough. Well, no, because somebody will make more music than that, and hopefully they'll be rewarded. Letter P, I've just written warmth. Where it says movendo, moving, just warm sounds, you know.
Yeah.
And then letter Q, the sort of the backside drops out of the scoring a bit between Q and R, or into through R as well, into S. So from about Q to S, they've got to be secure with the air all the way through that. It becomes a bit fragile, the scoring.
Yeah.
So you can't lose your nerve through those sort of places. It's crucial that you keep that there. And then when it gets to letter T, yes, it builds up. We're building towards the back end of it now. T is only 40 for 3 bars. Then there's a crescendo, 2.5 bars, crescendo to fortissimo. And then after that, there's a section just before the maelstrom where there's mutes. And so that's inviting problems with intonation again. It should be quite well developed at this level. Controlling mutes. What happens when you put a mute in, how you adjust your intonation, keeping the sound good and all that. And then the section after that just needs control all the way through it. But again, it's exciting music. I think this will be a real audience pleaser all the way through this.
I certainly enjoyed it.
I think it's a great piece. Yeah. Again, at letter Y, this sort of figure comes back in the cornets with the triplets. You can't have any bluffing going on in those fast, all that stuff. You know, you can't certainly play it like I've just sung it, bluffed it.
Like bass players would.
Yeah, well,
no,
I didn't say that. But again, it's in harmony. It's, you know, in thirds apart. Again, it's control and clarity. Getting a bit of clarity in makes a hell of a difference. You know. And then towards the very end, it's almost from the final vivace on, it can become a bit of a blast fest. The balance is crucial towards the back end, and somebody hopefully will play this and release all the detail in it. Don't just overblow. It doesn't impress blasting. But it's a great piece, really well written. Philip Harper knows what he's doing, and I think that piece is spot on. And that brings us to, go on.
It's one of my favourites, this, I've got to say, Variations on Was Lebanon. by Andrew Wainwright. From the moment I heard this piece for the first time, I was hooked on it.
Yeah,
It's fabulous writing.
it is. It's so classy.
Yeah,
And we might have mentioned it before when we picked them and stuff, but it's just quality writing.
yeah,
Again, this see for me, this is one of the things about all of these, or when you're looking at test pieces to choose somebody who knows how to score for bands,
yeah,
and you would be surprised how many times you get pieces that you think that just doesn't work. Sorry, it's
yeah,
dressed up as being, oh, I'm looking for a certain type of sound, so I've got, you know,
yeah,
in strange registers and stuff. Nah,
yeah.
it doesn't work. This guy knows what he's doing. The
It
opening's
does.
got to be broad. Again, it's the usual stuff, and we're getting more and more uh, pernickety about things like balance
Yeah,
and dynamics and style and musicianship all the way through. Um, Dynamic, there's a few places in the beginning where it goes from a quiet dynamic to a loud one.
mm,
MP to fortissimo, and then just before that, four letter A, fortissimo to MP over 2 bars. That's where your band will show the
yeah,
quality.
yeah.
Variation one, I've just written light. The whole thing has to be light all the way through.
I
Uh,
don't know whether you know, Sandy, but I had an interesting day out over the weekend, and I went to the Nemba superbly organised contest.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and it gives bands a chance to run out their area pieces. And I went to
okay,
the first section because, like I say, I love this piece. The audience was pretty full all day long. I mean, there
really,
was there was 8 bands, and there were quite a lot of people in. What I noticed about this first movement, there's a slow tune running through it, and then
yeah,
there's some fast stuff going over the top. The amount of bands that didn't get that in sync, and at first section level, they need to,
yeah, they
they
do,
must. It just wasn't in sync.
yeah, that's true. I mean, one of the things I've written here, round about letter D, is internal balance
Yeah,
because you've got MPs in the top of the band, MFs in the middle and the bottom, things
yeah,
like that, where
yeah,
it's very easy just to think, ah, we need to match them. So that's an MD's job. Explain what's happening, make sure that there's differentiation between
yeah,
dynamics. Letter E, I've written, don't hurry or rush. You've got this din dun 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 din dun ticka dun ticka dun ticka dum, that dun dun ticka dun ticka dun ticka dum, that sort
yeah.
of thing,
That
where
was
you hear
happening.
that all the time. Yeah,
Yeah,
avoid that. The
yeah,
bands that hopefully the bands that win will avoid that. Um, and then again, you've got the end of that section. The end of variation one is only marked 40,
yeah,
right? Don't just go bananas. And then the variation two, you've got this. It's a far more sort of loving section. It's very much you can hear influences of people like Eric Ball, Eddie
mm,
Gregson, a little bit of Wilf Heaton here and there. But it's very well written music. It's
yeah,
skillfully scored
yeah,
and interesting all the way through. It's just I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but again, there's a little bit of a section at variation three where the basses start, and it's a bit like the Jaws section, the squid
mm,
attack
yeah,
in Phil Harper's piece. Again, it's basses. Um, Boring, poppy, roppy, poppy, boring.
yeah,
But it's only marked MF,
yeah. And they've got
then
to be
MP.
short notes these because there were 8 bands there, and there were only 2 played that section. Got
Really?
anywhere near it. Yeah, the
Right.
rest they're either just playing too long or too heavy. Like you say, get that dynamic down. And as a bass player, you've got to keep practicing at that level so that it becomes second nature.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's very interesting music. It keeps the material developing all the way through, and you can tell um how it's developing. There's
Yeah,
structures to it. There's an intellectual sort of rigor to the music, which is great. One section I've written down um, is letter S.
yeah,
I've written don't overblow. It's only marked 40.
yeah,
And I think that's one of the places where there could again be a bit of that. Um, And then you've got variation 4.
This is a
uh,
beautiful variation.
It
This
is, and I've just written, you've
gorgeous.
got to play with style, not just notes.
Yeah,
And at that level, we're talking first section with a view to getting up to top section.
yeah,
You're really looking for individuals and the collective band to play with a sense of an understanding of style,
yeah,
and everybody supporting everybody else, handing things over, that
yeah.
sort of thing. It's a beautiful section, this.
It is. It
Uh,
is.
and then we have the fugue as
Aha.
well. Go on.
Well, out of 8 bands again, I would say all the lot struggled with this fugue.
Yeah.
2 bands were very much in front of the rest, but a fugue is a fugue, and when you've played your bit, you've got to get out of the way, whether you still
Yeah.
mark 40 or whatever.
Yeah.
And the lack of understanding of a fugue was quite alarming to me yesterday.
Right. It's again, it's clarity
Yeah,
all the way through, you know. And this fugue cannot start to gain tempo or lose control. You know, it's got to be controlled all the way through. It's very cerebral's maybe a bit heavy, but you've got to be playing technically, but you still got to have a steady head on you as well. It's not showing off technical, other than playing absolutely precisely is showing off.
yeah,
And it can't get faster. It can't get faster.
no,
As this builds up as well, there is a tendency uh, for it to get too loud.
yeah,
So it double C, it's still only 40.
mm,
Yeah.
yeah,
Don't start overblow it. Then at double E, now it's marked fortissimo, and that's towards the very end.
yeah.
You know.
There's a xylophone part in this, Sandy. I'm going off memory now,
Yeah.
and these xylophone players, I watched all of them, apart from one, had their heads down, and they were at a different tempo to the band.
Okay.
One player actually played with the band that came last, had his head up, and he was perfect with it in the
Right.
tempo.
Okay.
So that is important to me. I was waiting for it all the time. Once one band had got out on it, I was waiting for it, and it makes a big difference. The other thing, the bells at the end add
Yeah.
so much colour to this
Yeah,
piece,
they
and
do.
some
They
bands
do. I've written
you
down
couldn't
here.
hear
Yeah.
them. You
Really?
know, yeah,
Okay.
no. Some bands made allowances for it, brought the bells to the front. What a difference!
Well, I mean, that points to the little note I put on this last page. I've just written control, and I've underlined it about 10 times,
Yeah,
because it is, again, a place where um, you could really go over the top and
yeah,
lose points and
yeah,
lose placings, because it could be a free for all, as
yeah,
far as dynamically is concerned. And yeah, it still has to be balanced. The
yeah,
last chord has to be balanced.
yeah,
But overall, I think it's a great piece. I'm chuffed to bits that we've picked that, because
yeah. Oh, it's
I think
a win-win.
he's a great new voice
Yeah,
in banding, Andrew Wainwright. He's got an awful lot of good things to say,
yeah.
and he's steeped in proper music, right?
It's steeped in good band sounds. You can tell that because that
Yeah,
piece certainly creates them.
yeah, but I mean, he influences as a composer. You know, they're
Mm,
really good influences. You can hear
yeah,
them all the way through it.
yeah,
I hope that bands are enjoying rehearsing it, and I hope audiences again.
yeah,
I'm hoping that it'll be. It's a bit of a change of style
yeah.
from
I
some
want to
we've
see
heard
a lot
recently.
more of Andrew's works because he has knocked me out with this. I
Yeah,
really, really enjoy it, and I'm going to go up to Yorkshire and listen to the first section because of the
yeah,
piece.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. We should hopefully hear some decent performances there.
Yeah,
Which brings us on to Mr.
the biggie.
Ellerby's Elgar Variations.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I've been speaking to people who have been doing it, and who were maybe caught slightly unawares. by it. It's hard.
It
It's
is.
hard. There are various. Let's just talk a bit about Martin's music in general. So,
Mm.
were you still at Fairies when he started? Because Jim Gourley brought Martin to the band.
No, I wasn't.
Had you
But
gone
I
to
came across
YBS?
Martin when I was at YBS. He came
Right.
to Australia with us.
Yeah. So I
Mm.
have a slight little theory that Fairies at the time, we're talking mid late 90s, had a very, very, very good band. And Jim brought Martin in to write stuff. He wrote various things. He wrote that concerto for me, and
Yeah.
there were various big pieces. There was always exciting to play. And they were very taxing. And because we had a really good band, he was constantly asking, how, is this all right for range and all this? And he was quite extreme with some of the ranges,
Especially for the top end of the band, I found. And the
top end of the
horns.
horns upwards. Yeah, he
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
And he then, when he went to then write some music for Kingy for YBS,
Yeah.
same thing. Fantastic band. Loads of good, solid players who were comfortable, very comfortable in top registers.
Yeah.
Right. So a lot of those parts are high tessitura. Right.
Mm.
I'm just looking at the very first page here. Cornet parts, trombone parts,
Yeah.
everything. Euphonium, everybody. And that's his style.
Yeah.
Right. There's all sorts of different pieces that have this sort of thing going.
Yeah.
So what it does is it saps your stamina, this
Yeah.
piece. It's not a case of playing it for however long it lasts, 15 minutes, right? It's
It's
the
all the
rehearsal.
rehearsal.
It's
Yeah.
the rehearsal for the 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks beforehand
Yeah.
that saps your stamina. And I can see this causing problems unless it's rehearsed carefully,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's very easy also on Martin's music to overblow the whole thing in a
Yeah.
rather basic way, right? So it's 40 to begin with, so it's big and robust and a bit. Or I can see some bands playing this a bit thuggishly, and
Well,
it's not
the lesser bands in the championship section will see that it's 40, but because it's high, the only option they've got is to give it
to
some
play
stick,
loud. Yeah, okay.
and it's the
Yeah,
opposite.
the
You can't do that.
the 40s in this piece are on the light side,
They
I
are.
think. But it's this sort of light, Elgar light music sort of style. It's light on its feet. It's not heavy. But yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna go into too much detail all the way through this. The music again speaks for itself.
It does.
A lot of it. I mean, when you get into, there's a beautiful cornet solo.
Fairly early in, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Let's see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be accurate, but it's got to be. I mean, accuracy is just as a taken. It's a given, right?
Yeah.
Bands are going to be successful, then I would expect to see a very, very high degree of accuracy in
Yeah.
pitching for a
Yeah.
start, right?
Yeah.
So you just have to do it, but it's got to be then stylish as well.
Yeah.
It's not just a case of, oh, he did well, they played all the notes there, didn't miss any of those top notes.
It's more than notes.
Yeah, so it's got to be stylish, and there's loads of opportunity for dynamic contrasts and styles. I just think it's a very, very well thought out piece. You know, I don't
Am I
want to
right
go.
in thinking there's no direct Elgar quotes in this, is there? I think it's in a style of, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds very much.
Yeah,
There's
no.
things you think, oh, that's almost,
Yeah, I could think that. Yeah, and then
But
it diverts off into something else.
yeah, there's even sections in this where it's Mark Fortissimo, which I
Yeah.
would argue is still a light sound.
Yeah.
It's very, very clever writing, and there's places where it's very transparently scored.
Yeah.
Just before letter M, there's a section that comes through, and there's a little figure being tossed about from the top of the band to the bottom. It's got to be absolutely accurate as hell.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. And I've got a section here, I think, letter N for Norman. I've written, don't let tiredness start to take its toll. These are the sort of sections where a band with lesser stamina, less stamina, will start to, it'll take its toll, this piece, on the stage as well as in the rehearsals. And it's just so easy to split notes. A lot of bands will get a certain way through this, maybe, and hopefully I'm wrong. They'll start to collapse and individual errors and stuff like that. Letter P, a chance to make some real music, some proper, and they're not terribly high solos or anything else, but they need to be played so musically and handed across from each other all the way through it. I just, it should separate the bands. I'm hoping it will.
Oh, it will.
And I think, letter R is another place where I think it's really dangerous between R and S for individual errors.
Yeah.
It's, those are the places where individuals will have to be on their mettle.
Yeah.
And then towards the end, I've just written control, no overblowing, letter T.
Yeah.
U is only 40. And then at the end, okay, you've got it there, but it still needs to be clean and accurate. I'm sure it will separate the bands. I don't think there'll be any accusations thrown that the piece allowed maybe not quite as competent bands into the prizes. I think you'll find who can control the instrument and who can't. So all in all, I think Elgar Variations will be a good choice. I think it should. Hopefully, the best bands will come to the top. But it'll be an enjoyable listen as well. It'll be a challenge, but it'll be an enjoyable listen as well.
Okay, so thanks, Sandy. That's been a lovely insight into the pieces from one of the team that's picked them. We hope all the bands enjoy playing it. I think there's some lovely music in there, and it's certainly encouraging me to go to the contest for a listen as and when I can. So thank you to everybody, all the listeners. If you've got any comments you want to send in, it's Smith and Grezzy, AND, smithandgrezzy@gmail.com. We'll see you again soon.